Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the 25-8 Sportscast. I am your host, Tommy Fink, and alongside me today, as always, is my neophyte, Jett Rosenstein. Jett, how you doing today?
Tommy, it just gets better every single episode. I'm excited to be with you once again. This is a very special episode for more reasons than just one, and I'm excited to get right into it.
Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned this being a special episode, and that is because, Jett, why don't we say this at the count of three together? I'm just kidding. That's stupid. We have our first guest appearance on this show, and this is someone who I've been a longtime friends with. He is big into the sports world. He goes by the name of Brendan Lynch. He's a big fan of all sports, and he's also a major at the University of Tampa in sports management. So, Brendan, why don't you go tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Yeah, perfect. Thanks both of you for having me on. I'm good friends with both of them. I'm a Met and a Cowboy fan. Grew up both. And, yeah, I'm a Nick Ranger as well. I'm just happy to be on today.
Yeah, we're excited to have you on, and we have a very, very fun-filled episode because, as everyone knows, the MLB season is approaching, and it's only a few days away, and that means we're going to preview this season, give our predictions, bold predictions, awards predictions. We have it all, and we're excited to get another fan of the NL East opinion in this podcast, so it should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, we like to keep it within the East here. Jett and I haven't been on many business trips out to California yet, so we haven't met any Dodgers fans. Thankfully, even though Mets may be a little bit worse than Dodger fans, but, we'll see here because, like Jett mentioned, this is all things Major League Baseball, and it's a fitting time for it because that's exactly what's going on in the sports world. Obviously, we're inching closer to NBA and NHL playoffs. As we speak, actually, the college basketball finals are going on. But, we've been wanting to get this prediction show out for a while now. And so let me go ahead and frame it for you here. We are going to talk about a player on each team that we think is going to be just their best player, as well as Jett has something for us where he's going to talk about a player on each team that could be a breakout candidate for the year. That's going to be, someone who it could be the best player on the team. It also could be someone who is a role player, and he thinks it's a player on the team who may not necessarily be the best. We are then going to talk about award predicting winners, and we are also going to predict a playoff bracket from each of us. So should be a fun show. Jett, what do you want to start with here?
How about we this is what we could do. We can go division by division, give our division winners, and then the standings in order of each division, and then we'll each go through with our one player for the various categories that we have prepped for, if that sounds good.
Yeah, sounds good. So let's go ahead and start in the American League, just because we're all National League fans, so we'll get to that last because it's going to be probably the most passionate part of the show. So American League East, why don't we go ahead and start there? Jett, why don't you give us your predictions from 1 to 5 in the East?
Yeah, so I may be hopping on the hype train just a little bit, and I tend to do that, but the hype is really warranted. So with that being said, I have the Blue Jays at 1, the Rays at 2, the Yankees at 3, the Red Sox at 4, and the Orioles at 5. We'll get to the playoffs later on in the show, but for the Blue Jays, with all the moves they made in the offseason, bringing in Matt Chapman, obviously they lost Robbie Ray, but they bolstered their starting rotation with Kikuchi and then Kevin Gausman, and then they still have Vlad, Bichette, Biggio, all those guys are still there. Barrios is still there after they acquired him in the deadline, so I really like the Blue Jays to come out of the East and potentially even farther in the playoffs.
Okay, yeah, I like those predictions there. Brendan, why don't you give us yours?
Yeah, I'm right on the same thing with Jett. I got Blue Jays at 1, the Rays at 2, Yankees at 3, Red Sox at 4, and, of course, the Orioles in 5th. I just think Blue Jays overall just got a lot better this offseason with what they already had. So I'm excited for what they're going to bring to the table this year.
Okay, I like where you guys are going with this. Basically the same predictions here, but for me, I don't think the Blue Jays got, that much better, as what people are saying they did. Yeah, they went and got Kevin Gausman, and yeah, they went and got Kikuchi, but they did lose the American League Cy Young winner, so it's not like they got better much better as a starting pitcher standpoint. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is not going to be able to duplicate the year he had last year, in my opinion. I think that not saying he's going to have a bad year, but I mean that was a year that was like for him not to win the MVP is malarkey. But I do have the Rays winning the East, followed by the Blue Jays, Yankees, Red Sox, and Orioles. Let's go ahead and go on to the American League Central here. Jett, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, so this one, I'm looking at the divisional winner. It's pretty easy. I think we'll all agree on that. For me, in order, I have number 1, the White Sox, 2, the Twins, 3, the Tigers, 4, the Cleveland Guardians, and number 5, the Royals. White Sox is a no-brainer for me. They have pretty much everyone returning back for another year. However, they are dealing with a few injury issues. Garrett Crochet is going to be out for the year with Tommy John surgery, and Lance Lynn's expected to miss some time in the beginning of the year. But despite all that, they're still going to most likely run away with the Central. The Twins, they traded a bunch of guys away, even though they added Sonny Gray, Gary Sanchez. It's not going to be enough to really compete for a division. The Tigers, I think, can be really good this year. A dark horse to potentially steal a wild card. All those young prospects, they're finally getting the chance to play at the big league level and produce. So I like them at number 3. Guardians and Royals, both obviously small market teams and teams that are still heavily in a rebuild.
Okay, Brendan, do you agree with Jett's takes here?
Obviously, of course, I agree with the White Sox winning the division, but I actually have the Tigers coming in second, then the Twins, and then same with the Guardians and Royals. The Tigers, they added Baez. They got a lot of young guys coming up, so I think they're going to be exciting to watch this year as well.
They just added Austin Meadows as well. Before we came on, the Tigers made a trade to acquire him, so the Tigers are making moves, and I like them a lot as well. Right,
and actually interesting that we talk about this now right after I say – because obviously this news broke literally 30 started recording. So obviously I predicted my standings before that. And, an Austin Meadowless Tampa Bay Rays team could be very different. And that could just be the one player that shifts the Jays and Rays for me. But nonetheless, I agree exactly with Jets standings. I have White Sox, Twins, Tigers, Guardians, Royals. The Guardians basically have a pile of crap in future Philly, Jose Ramirez. And, that's about it over there. I think Carlos Correa and Gary Sanchez were nice additions to this Minnesota Twins team. I don't think that they are going to be enough to compete a White Sox team who was really good last season and is only getting better as, the same players that they had last year move into their prime a little bit more. Go ahead, Jett.
Yeah, no, one thing I'll say, going back to the Rays really quickly, while the loss of Austin Meadows definitely hurts them, let's be honest, they have a list of guys that they know that are coming off the street that they're going to be able to find and mold into a Rays type player. So I don't think it's something to be worried about too much. They always have guys waiting in the wings, but it's definitely a notable move to keep an eye on.
Very true. And another notable move that happened this offseason that Jett and I never really covered, because this happened, before the lockout even, is Joey Wendell leaving Tampa Bay, he was a very, very good role player for this team. I mean, it could be another one of those things where guys leave the Rays and they absolutely stink for the rest of their career. I don't understand how Tampa does this, but you look at examples like a Will Myers or maybe even like a Steven Souza Jr. Like, these are guys that were pretty good with Tampa and they left and were just absolutely garbage. But let's go ahead, and before the show gets way too long, let's move on to start us off with his predictions for the West this season. Brendan, take it away.
All right, so I got the Astros win the division. I think they're still the top team in that division. Second, I like the Mariners a lot this year. They got a young squad. They just called up their top prospect as well today. He's going to be starting in the big league, so I think they made a lot of moves this year with getting Winker as well. So I think they're a sneaky team this year to maybe sneak into that last wild card spot. My 3 spot, I have the Angels. I think they made a lot of moves this offseason, adding to that pitching staff, a couple pieces to the bullpen. So I think with a healthy Trout and with Ohtani, I think they're going to be really good this year. 4, I got the Rangers. I think they did add a lot of pieces to that offense, but their pitching is still a big question mark. And then finishing out is the Athletics, because who knows who's even on that team anymore. So,
okay. Yeah, I have the exact same predictions as you, so no need to go super in depth here. But one thing I do want to mention is that the Mariners did just get Robbie Ray, and I think the only thing about that is you don't really know what Robbie Ray you're going to get. He's been in the league for so long. I know obviously it's a bit harder to pitch in the NL, and it has been for quite some time now. So maybe him staying in the American League and the Blue Jays attributes to his great season last year. Maybe he can continue that. But other than that, let's hear what Jett has to say.
Yeah, I have the exact same order as both of you guys. We're definitely in line on where we see this division going. A few notes that I just want to add. Obviously, the Astros are still the team to beat, even with the loss of Carlos Correa, a healthy Alex Bregman, and all those other pieces. And Justin Verlander, by the way, too, is coming back off of Tommy John surgery. So they're going to be just fine as the number one team in this division. Mariners made a lot of great moves, like Brendan said. The Angels, the only reason I wanted to put the Angels above the Mariners, but like Brendan said, the pitching, it got better, but it's still going to be an issue, especially with that starting rotation. We have to see if guys like Noah Syndergaard can really bounce back from the injuries they've dealt with. Rangers, any other division in the AL, I think they're a little bit higher. I like the moves they made. Pitching aside, they have some young guys that can really get the job done, a couple guys that I'm going to talk about later on. And then obviously the Athletics are a no-brainer. Spending no money and getting rid of everyone in the offseason just makes sense.
Yeah, well, I actually saw a meme, and I also am part of this meme. So because I bought MLB The Show, I pre-ordered it, I spent more money this season than the Oakland Athletics owner this offseason. So I'm really contributing to Rob Manfred's pockets here. San Diego Studios, San Diego actually is how it's pronounced apparently.
Right.
But let's go ahead and move on here to the National League, and let's get to what we all have been waiting for as far as us three, National League East. Jett, you're starting us off here because I know the Marlins are at 3, and they shouldn't be.
Yeah. By the way, Tommy, those set of jokes with the San Diego and your MLB The Show meme just lost like half of our viewers right there, but it's all good. I know our dedicated listeners are still here with us, but yes, I do have the Marlins at 3, and I still stand by that. I will stand by it because they are the third best team in this division, and that will be proven once we get the season going along. But in order, I have the Braves, Phillies, Marlins, Mets, Nationals. The Braves, while they lost Freddie Freeman, they replaced him with a guy that's just as good, maybe a little bit worse than Matt Olson. They improved their bullpen a little bit. Some of the back end of the rotation could be a question mark, but overall, they're still a very solid team. The Phillies, I hate to talk good about one of Tommy's teams, but they deserve it. They made a lot of big moves.
Let me first say this. You're
gonna have your chance.
Okay, go ahead.
Like I was saying, Nick Castellanos, Kyle Schwarber go along with that really good starting rotation. By the way, I like Ranger Suarez a lot at the back end. He performed really well last year, and the bullpen is still a question, but I think they have just enough to be able to be a top team in this division. My Marlins, one of the best rotations in the league. Offense was a big issue last year, but we made a lot of improvements with Jorge Soler, Joey Wendell, Avasail Garcia, and then a bunch of prospects are going to be coming up soon. So exciting times to be a Miami Marlins fan. The Mets, we're already starting to see it. The injury issues are a common theme every year, and it's happening before the season's even starting in 2022. I love some of the moves the Mets have made, especially the Starling Marte move and the Chris Bassett move, but it's a common theme year after year. We touched on it on our Team of the Month episode. The Mets just find a way to take all the good things that they have and just turn them into shit. And Nationals are at 5. Don't really need to go into much there. So,
Brendan, I'm sorry. I never like to treat a guest like this, but you will have to go last on this division just because of the way Jett went through this division.
That was bad.
That was really bad. So I'm gonna have to go second here. I'm gonna have to jump in.
You're good.
So first of all, Jett, let's not say that you hate to talk bad about my teams. Okay. You have the Phillies in second in the East. That's talking good about them because the Braves just won the World Series.
I said I hate talking good about your teams.
Let me continue. Secondly, you about 2 episodes ago just said that the Colts are going to be the 2 seed in the AFC this season. So not a football episode at all, but just to backtrack to get you caught up in your words. Just awful word play there. I don't even know what I would call it. Just bad use of the word hate. But I'm going to go through this division really quick. Braves in first. I think that this team is absolutely stacked. If we can get anything out of this starting rotation like they expected last year, Max Fried was supposed to be really good, and last year he just wasn't. So I think losing Freeman isn't really that big of a deal. I think losing Jorge Soler was a big deal because, he went absolutely berserk for them after the All-Star break. So I think losing Soler is a bigger deal than losing Freeman. But I think if Max Fried can turn around and have a good year here, then this team's even better than they were last year, and it doesn't matter who they lost. Phillies in second place. I talk about this team day in and day out, so you guys don't really need to hear my spiel that much, but I will talk about this starting rotation because I think it gets disrespected a little bit. I think any team that has a rotation that Kyle Gibson is the fifth starter in, you're sitting pretty. It doesn't matter. Kyle Gibson doesn't need to have an ERA because if he has an ERA right about 4, then we're golden. I have the New York Mets in third. I think that this team is good, but it doesn't matter because Jacob deGrom is going to play for a few months. Max Scherzer is trending towards injury. Max Scherzer is aging, and I'm not putting that against Scherzer because he's been a great pitcher. Last year we saw him be a great pitcher, easily a top 10 pitcher in the league last year. But again, you never know when you get a little bit older, one little tweak turns into a season-ending injury. The Miami Marlins are in fourth place. This team is just too young, and there's no firepower. Yes, the rotation is good, but the rotation is very young. You don't know exactly what you're going to get from them. The Washington Nationals, awful team, and I feel really bad for Juan Soto because I think he potentially is the best player. Brendan, take it away.
Real quick, speaking of Juan Soto, once he hits free agency in 2 years, Steve Cohen's gonna give him so much money, but that's for another time. Just because I love my owner, had to give him some props.
Unfortunately, Steve Cohen is going to be in jail by the time Juan Soto hits free agency, but let's go ahead and hear your rankings here.
All right, so I have the best team winning this division. It's pretty, far, I think. I got the Mets winning it, of course. I think.
Oh, my God.
Compare us to last year. DeGrom went down. We fell from first place. We have Scherzer and Bassett, both guys that could be aces. We still got Carrasco, McGill, Walker, Peterson's coming off an injury. We have a lot of depth in pitching, and our lineup, I think, really well. I think both of you guys dying over there. Might have to move both of you down in the division, but I'll leave it at that with the Mets winning the division, I think, by at least 10 games.
That's really bad, Brendan.
Second, I got the defending World Series champs. I got the Braves. I think they take a minor step back this year with Acuna missing about a month and a half to start the year. And I think not having Freeman, just his presence, I think is going to make a difference for them a little bit. Third, unfortunately, I have the Phillies. I think they did upgrade their team a little bit this year. Fielding's going to be an issue, but just a little bit, but the fielding's going to be an issue. Willie's going to be pissed off because these guys can't catch fly balls. But fourth, I'm going to put the Nationals because Jett disrespected the Mets at 4 earlier. So, and then Miami's they're too young, I think, right now. They got a good staff, but that's about it. No hitters.
But first of all, what I said about Tommy losing us ratings, I don't forget what I said. It is Brendan with that take. I just feel sorry for whoever is listening to that. It's gonna be wrong, obviously.
All right. Aside from whatever I just listened to for about 5 minutes, I will take away the one good thing that I heard, and the one good thing that I heard I also hadn't thought about myself. So the presence of Freddie Freeman in that Atlanta locker room, that can be a big deal because baseball is a very big chemistry-based sport, and momentum means a lot in Major League Baseball. You may think it doesn't mean as much as it does in football and stuff, but I promise you, you go out there and you shove for 7 innings on the mound, you're winning 2-0, and then your guy makes an error in right field. All of a sudden, it's 3-2, and you lose the game. Things spiral out of control just that fast in baseball. And that kind of plays into the chemistry aspect of it. I think Freddie Freeman outside of the locker room can be a big hit. So that's something to look for. Good point there, Brendan. Let's go ahead and move here to the NL Central, where I'll start us off because I haven't done so yet. I have the Brewers winning the division pretty convincingly. I think this pitching staff is tops in Major League Baseball. I looked through the numbers today. They're a crazy pitching staff. I mean, they have 3 guys with sub-3 ERAs. and they all did it easily last year. So that's something to look for there. I think the Cardinals can make a surprise run here in the National League, though. I have the Cardinals at second. I have this team winning 86 plus games. So look for them. Cubs in third. I mean, the rest of this division isn't going to be competitive, I don't think. Cubs, Reds, Pirates in that order, 3, 4, 5. Pirates have nobody on their team to mention besides maybe 2 guys. The Reds have Jonathan India, and that's about it. And then the Chicago Cubs, I mean, I just think they're the better of the 3. Who wants to go next?
I'll go here.
Okay.
My order's a little bit differently, but I do have the same top 2 teams. Brewers, like you mentioned, the pitching staff. Not to mention, there's a few guys that back into their rotation who I think could emerge as real key pieces to this team going really far. Cardinals, I have it 2. Reds, I have it 3. They obviously have parted ways with a lot of their guys. They still have Joey Votto, Luis Castillo, Tyler Mahle, Jonathan India, like you said, but they are going towards another rebuild stretch. The Cubs obviously shipped out all their big guys. Last trade deadline Baez, Rizzo, Bryant. They have a couple of good up and coming guys. Frank Schwindel, Patrick Wisdom, Nick Madrigal. They have some good pieces. However, they are going to be at the bottom.
Jake Arrieta.
I guess if you want to say him, and then
Didn't he just start there for them last season, or was that like 6 years ago? It was one of them.
That was a while ago. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Pirates. Unfortunately, they have some good pieces, but they are years, maybe even more than years away from competing.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And Reds, Cubs, I mean, really interchangeable. I think all 3 teams at the bottom of this division are less than 70 win teams. Brendan, go ahead and take away the Central.
All right, I have it a little different for my winner. I got the Cardinals winning it this year. I think I do agree. Like the Brewers have an outstanding rotation, 3 great starters. Even their whole 5 is exceptionally well. I just think that the Cards, they have a great lineup. Flattery, I think, is missing sometime, but I think once he comes back, they'll be all right on the pitching end. And the Brewers lineup didn't perform well last year, so I have them coming in at second. Their pitching staff's insane, but I think the lineup needs to perform better. 3 through 5, you guys said it's interchangeable, but I think the Cubs are the third. Pirates, I'll put Pirates 5 and Reds at 4. I think the Cubs made a couple moves, but not too much to really do anything to make noise in the Central.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with your takes there. I think that the Cardinals, I can see the Cardinals winning, but I think the Brewers pitching is too good. But another thing to look for is a possible Christian Yelich bounce back season, who, if he bounces back, you literally add 30 home runs to that lineup because he only hit 9 last year, which is like, even when he was with Miami and an average ball player, he wasn't nearly down there. So something to look for there. Moving to the National League West.
Hold on.
Okay.
That's what I was going to say, that the biggest key for the Brewers offense especially is Christian Yelich, especially with him dealing with all those injuries the past couple seasons. So if he can get him and then Willy Adames, keep him going the way he was after the Brewers acquired him, along with some other additions, it'll be a lot better than what we saw from them down the stretch, especially in the playoffs last year.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's move on to the National League West here. Jett, go ahead and start the West off for us with that gulp of water in your mouth.
Yeah, I think for me, the number 1 team is pretty easy. For a little foreshadowing, they are my number 1 team in the NL, the Los Angeles Dodgers at 1, Padres at 2. I know we're going to be missing Tatis for several months, but I think they have enough offensive firepower along with a very solid pitching staff, in my opinion, to be able to be the number 2 team in this division, especially after the disappointing season last year. Giants, remarkable season last year. We're probably going to see a little bit of regression from them. Talk about presence and lineups and in dugouts. Buster Posey is a big one. He retired. He's not going to be a part of this team. They still have plenty of those veteran guys from the Giants World Series run several years back, but I don't know if the numbers that this pitching staff, along with this offense, put up last year is that sustainable. 4, I have the D-backs. 5, I have the Rockies. Just 2 teams that are obviously in rebuilds right now, and I just don't see them cracking the top 3.
Okay. I'll go ahead here. I have very similar to what you have. I have the Dodgers in first, Padres in second, San Fran coming in third. I think that their run last season was kind of just a lucky run. I don't think that team was as good as they were. I think Posey had a really good year, and I don't think anything that they did last season was very sustainable at all, to be honest with you. I do have the Rockies ahead of the Diamondbacks, though, if that interests anybody. I think the Rockies have a better pitching staff. Kyle Freeman, Herman Marquez, and just adding Chris Bryant because why not spend a little bit of money? And then the Diamondbacks at 5. Brendan, what do you got?
I got the same thing you got, Tommy. I got Dodgers obviously winning. Padres too. They got a great staff there. Even without Tatis, they'll be fine. I think for a little. The Giants, yeah, I think they're gonna aggress as well. I like the Rockies. They have a couple of young guys that came up last year towards the end, so I think they're gonna be good with Bryant there. And then Diamondbacks just really got Ketel Marte, so I think
Yeah,
they finished that division out.
yeah, I think that the Diamondbacks really do truly have like one player, and it's way different to say that in baseball than it is in basketball because one player in baseball is literally nothing. It doesn't matter if you're Mike Trout. He's been the best player on the planet for 10 years now, and the Angels haven't done jack. But let's go ahead and talk now. Brendan and I have each come up with an MVP for each team. I don't know if we have time to get to every single team, but we're gonna get to most of the teams that we think are relevant, and then Jett also has an upcoming player for each team. So a potential breakout candidate, and Brendan and I are going to give each team's MVP of the season. Let's go ahead and start back in the American League East. 1 through 4 are pretty relevant over there, so let's talk about all these teams. For the Rays, I think Wander Franco is going to be the most valuable player on this team. I think that he is going to have an absolute emergence onto the scene. I mean, he already had a good season last season. I don't know if he played long enough or if he still counts as a rookie this year. Either way, I think Wander Franco is going to absolutely go berserk, and I think it's going to be fun to watch. I have Vlad Guerrero Jr. as the Blue Jays most valuable player. Pretty self-explanatory. Aaron Judge for the Yankees. I don't think Garrett Cole is good. And JD Martinez for the Red Sox. I think JD Martinez is a bit of a sleeper pick for MVP for this team because they have a lot of pieces. Devers, Bobby Dahlback, just got JBJ back, who's great in the field. But I think JD Martinez is as consistent as ever, and he's going to just swing and swing well. That's what he always does.
All right, for me, I got pretty much the same thing. I got Franco, Vlad, Judge. For the Red Sox, though, I actually have Devers. I think Devers had an outstanding year last year. I think he batted like 290 with over 35 bombs, I think. So I think if he continues that, he's going to be a big piece. But the Sox have a lot of guys that, can be that MVP, JD, Bogart. So they're going to be fun to watch. And Story, too, now. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm fine with, honestly, any of those guys being the Red Sox MVP, but I just wanted to pick JD because he's been doing it longest. Chet, who do you think can break out for these 4 teams?
Yeah, these may not necessarily be guys that can break out, but just guys under the radar that I feel like should be talked about more, that I feel could have a huge impact on their respective teams. For the Blue Jays, I talked about him a little bit before. Kikuchi, who they signed coming off of an all-star year in 2021. He really started off his career on a poor note, had an ERA, I believe, of above 5. And he's gotten better each year. And I think especially with the loss of Robbie Ray to that Blue Jays rotation, I think to have him is going to help a lot. Just some other ones in this division, the Rays, Drew Rasmussen, another guy that not everyone probably knows about just because the Rays have a lot of those guys, but they find a way to develop these players into real key pieces to MLB teams. And I think that's another guy to keep an eye on. And the last one I'll touch on is for the Red Sox, Tanner Houck. The back end of this rotation, the Red Sox have some issues in the rotation right now with Chris Sale going to be missing some time to injury. So they really need some guys to step up. And what's been a somewhat of a rough start to his career, I think that Tanner Houck could potentially be the key piece if the Red Sox want to have another successful season.
Okay. Let's move on here. Let's talk about the AL Central. And we were all pretty much in agreement here. The White Sox and Twins are the only two teams that have potential to make the playoffs. For the White Sox, I think Luis Robert is going to be the clear-cut MVP on this team. I think that around all the buzz, around all the other big power hitters on this team, your Eloy Jimenez, your Jose Abreu, even Tim Anderson, who I think is criminally underrated. I think that Luis is going to have an incredible season. He's great in the field. He's great on the bases. He's great at the plate, and he is their most valuable player. Moving on to the Twins, Carlos Correa. I mean, probably the biggest addition in the offseason. So Correa is going to be their MVP. I think he's going to play as paid.
I agree with you on that for both teams. I got Robert. I think he was outstanding last year. I think he's going to continue that. That team is stacked 1 through 9, though, so you could really pick anyone from that lineup, too. And Twins, I think Correa is going to be their best player. Correa's been good for a number of years now, so I think him moving cities won't really affect him. I think he'll still have a good year hitting.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was going to say my two players.
I was just going to say that it's not like he's going to a huge market city either, so there's not like huge pressure on him. I don't think Minnesota has a lot of baseball hopes right now anyways. So.
Yeah, for me, the two players that I want to highlight in this division, one, Minnesota Twins, Alex Kirilloff, a young prospect who has a lot of pop. Unfortunately, missed some time last year due to injury, but I think in the next 2 to 3 years, I think he's going to be a big part of the middle of this Twins lineup. And then for the Tigers, Tariq Skubal. Obviously, there's a lot of interesting names in this Tigers rotation, Casey Mize, Matt Manning, but a lot of people don't talk about Skubal. He has not had, the numbers don't jump off the page, but when you look at the underlying metrics, they suggest that Skubal had a much better year than what the stats say last year, and I think the back end of that rotation, he's going to bolster this Tigers rotation a lot.
Okay, and both things that I can see happening. AL West, I think that we all had the Astros and Mariners in top 2, right?
Yes.
Okay, so let's just talk about those two teams. For the Astros, I think Kyle Tucker is the MVP this season. I know Alex Bregman, he's been doing it a bit longer, but I think Kyle Tucker is someone that's really not talked about that much, even though he's consistently been their best player over the past 2 seasons. And I think that Kyle Tucker is going to continue to do so, plays well in the field as well. Moving to Seattle, I think that Robbie Ray, I talked about it a little bit, I think that he's going to be their MVP, and I think this solely because he's staying in the American League, and I think that attributes a lot to his season last season. It's his first year facing American League hitting.
Yeah, I'm actually different from both of those. So for the Astros, I have Yordan Alvarez. I think he's been outstanding so far in only 3 years. He had over 30 bombs this past year, over 100 RBIs. I think he's going to be a big difference for this Astros team with that pop. And he's also been playing the field so far in spring training, so I think he's going to be good at fielding as well this year. And then for the Mariners, I have Jared Kelenic, the young kid.
Wow.
It's a little biased. He was a Met, and we traded him for 36-year-old Robinson Cano and Edwin Diaz, who has been all right, but Cano, PEDs had 1 good year, and that was because of it. And we're stuck with this contract. But I think Kalenic's going to be really good in the league. Maybe not this year, but I have a lot of hope for him. I think he's going to be a stellar player.
Well, let's not say that Edwin Diaz has been all right. Everything else that you said, I agree with, though. 100%. Jet, take it away.
Yeah, there's just one guy I want to talk about in this division. Not on either of those two teams, but Texas Rangers. We talked about how poor of a rotation they have, but one guy I think could have an outstanding year is Spencer Howard, a former Phillies prospect who has had a very good spring training, and he was just named as the starter in the rotation for this upcoming season. I'm excited about his prospects for potentially being one of those breakout post hype candidates.
Yeah, well, I hope not, because when he was with us, he literally couldn't get past the second inning. Guy was an absolute turd for us, but I do wish him all the best. Let's go ahead and move over here to the National League, where we'll start with the National League East. And just because this is our division, we'll talk about the consensus top 4 teams. We'll Nationals out of this one. For the Braves, I have Ronald Acuna Jr. as the MVP. I think he's going to come off this injury better than ever, and better than ever really just means very, very good and average play for someone as good as him. Another interesting thing about this division, I think that they have the top 3 right fielders in baseball, and it's not even close. I think Mookie Betts is very overrated, but we'll talk about that later. For the Phillies, I think that's the easiest decision ever. Eduardo Escobar for the Mets, I think he is going to have a great year for them. And other than that, they don't have a lot going for them. The Miami Marlins, this one is interesting. I'm taking Trevor Rogers, the starting pitcher. I think he's going to have a very good season, a very solid and predictably solid season for this team. Go ahead, Brendan.
What's it called? So I have for the Nationals, I have Juan Soto. I think that's pretty easy. That's one of their only best players. Braves, I think even with Acuna missing a month, I still have him winning, being their best player. For my New York Mets, I have Francisco Lindor. I think he's going to have a bounce back year. I'm excited for what he's going to be able to bring to the table. For the Marlins, I have 2 guys. I like both these guys a lot. I got Sandy Alcantara. I think he's going to have a really good year. I think he's going to, hold down that 8th spot for the Marlins this year. And I also have your man Jazz Chisholm. Yep. I think he's going to have a good year. I think he's still young. He's still, rounding into himself. So I think he's going to have a really big year. And then Phillies, it's easy. That's going to be Didi Gregorius. I think he's going to be your best player. Seriously,
I'll take that.
Seriously, I have Harper, though. Yeah, can't go wrong with Harper. But
yeah, I mean, the best player in the National League, as shown by last year's MVP award.
Stop.
Jett, go ahead and tell us your candidates here for, I guess you don't want to call it breakout, even though that's kind of what it is.
It's not, but I'll just go ahead. Yeah, so for me, for the NL East, Kyle Wright of the Braves, numbers don't look great on the surface, but so far this spring he has looked great, and to help a back of the Braves starting rotation that doesn't have, a lot of stability at the moment, if someone like him can step up, that would be really good for them for the rest of the season. For the Phillies, Sir Anthony Dominguez, you may remember the name several years back, was performing at an extremely high level in the back of the bullpen, but has dealt with a lot of injuries the past couple of seasons. So if the Phillies can get him back to where he was, it'll help a bullpen that has been horrific for all of my lifetime, pretty much. And then the Marlins, Jesus Luzardo, acquired him in the Starling Marte deal a year ago, and he did not have a great rest of season last year, but so far this spring has looked great. His stuff looks great. And for a back of rotation that already has a lot of guys, stability-wise, a lot of guys from last year, I think he can be a big piece going forward. For the Mets, Carlos Carrasco, I talked about him on the last episode, my player spotlight, a guy that I think that if he shows up and can be the guy that he was several years back, this team will go as far as I think he can take them. And then for the Nationals, Josiah Gray, the Nationals acquired him in the Trey Turner to the Los Angeles Dodgers deal. If Josiah Gray can perform at the level of hype that he was receiving as a prospect, the Nationals are going to have a future ace for their team.
Okay, beautiful piece there, Jett. I'm glad you put a lot of thought into that. I think that, you looked as handsome and dashing as ever when you're giving that speech. Let's go to the National League Central here. Brewers and Cardinals is all we have time for. For the Brewers, obvious, the National League Cy Young, who really should not have won Cy Young, let's be honest. He's probably about 4th in that list. But let's go with Corbin Burns. I mean, he's going to have another great season, and I'm expecting it. He's a great pitcher with a great power sinker. Obviously, you throw hard and you throw a sinker, you're hard to hit. That's a recipe for disaster for hitters all across the board. And for the Cardinals, I'm going to go with someone here that may not be expected. I don't really know for sure, but Paul Goldschmidt. I think Paul Goldschmidt had a really good season last year, and it kind of went under the radar. I think that a lot of people, if you just watch Quick Pitch and that's your only dose of MLB, you didn't really see much of Paul Goldschmidt, but he had a good year last year. Brendan, what do you got for us?
So I got two different from you. I almost went Goldschmidt, but I did pick another guy in the name of Nolan Arenado. I think his first year in St. Louis wasn't the best. He batted just over 250. I think he's going to have a really good year in his second year there. I think he'll be more comfortable. He also did hit over 30 bombs, so I think the power will still be there. I think his average will follow. And then for the Brewers, I think Corbin Burns is pretty obvious, but I went with Christian Yelich. I think he's going to have a bounce back year. I think it's weird with Tim. He plays well at home, and then like on the road, he's like non-existent in his career. But I think he's going to have a bounce back year. I think he'll be in that MVP conversation like he was in the past few years.
One thing that I will touch on really quick, I think it's funny that you think that Yelich is going to have a bounce back year, yet you still have the Cardinals winning the division.
I think that the rotation is going to perform as well for the Brewers.
Okay.
That rotation was outstanding last year. I don't know if they replicate that.
But that's understandable. Jett, who are your not breakout players?
So for the Brewers, I have Keston Hiura. A couple years back, this guy was one of the top prospects on this team and has kind of went on a downward slope the last few years. If he can show up and be the guy that he was, this offense is going to be helped out a lot by his presence. And then for the Cardinals, I have Miles Mikolas, the number 2 in the rotation, a guy that his numbers don't always look great from year to year. Last year, he dealt with some injuries, but for a rotation that is dealing with some injuries at the moment, if Miles Mikolas can just, be a figure of, getting 5-6 innings a game and sending it to the bullpen, this Cardinals team is going to be in good shape.
Okay, good. For the National League West, I have Trey Turner as the MVP for this Los Angeles Dodgers team. I think I mentioned it before. I think Mookie Betts is overrated. Cody Bellinger, you don't know if he's going to hit 400 or 100. But Trey Turner, smooth sailing to a great season every single year, potentially playing himself into a Hall of Fame career. And I think Trey Turner is going to, do it yet again. So Trey Turner for the Dodgers. And for the San Diego Padres, I am taking Joe Musgrove as the MVP for this team this season. I think Musgrove he's progressing very well. Every single year he's in the big leagues, he takes a step up and a step up and a step up. I think this is come at me if you have to, a potential Cy Young winner this season.
Oh, come on, Tommy.
The word potential, Jett, in case you didn't know, it means possible.
Is that the word of the day?
We'll get into the word of the day. Don't you worry, son. Brandon, who are your MVPs for these two teams?
So for the Dodgers, I don't like the hate you're giving him. Mookie Betts. I think he's still a top.
Mookie
Betts. I still think he's top player in the game. I think he's still top 5. You could still go Trey Turner. You could go Walker Buehler. There's a lot of guys on that team you could go with. I just think consistency with Betts. He's always been good. He's a great fielder. So I'm excited for him this year. And then for the Padres, with Tatis being out for some time, with that motorcycle incident, I'm going to go with Manny Machado. He played really well last year. I think he's going to really carry this team to the playoffs and help this team, stay afloat until Tatis is back.
Solid picks. Can't argue with either of them. Jett, who's not breaking out?
Yeah, for me, for the Dodgers, a key piece of this bullpen the past several years, former Marlin Alex Vesia, a very small ERA. I believe it was sub-2 last year, a big part of this bullpen. Now with Kenley Jansen no longer on the team, they're going to need someone to not only step up for the back end of the bullpen, but just the bullpen in general. And then for the San Diego Padres, I have a guy that was a former Dodger, Matt Beatty. He was a big part as a role player for that Dodgers team. Could be seeing some more playing time with the Tatis injury, along with other because he's a very versatile guy. So I like him a lot on this Padres team, and I think he's going to have a solid impact on them.
Jett, it is a little late for this, but I think a good name for what you're doing here is the word unsung heroes. I think that's what we should have been calling it. I don't know why you were going with not breakout players or whatever you were calling them. but they're not breaking out. They are unsung heroes, though. Let's shift our gears here as we are going to talk about our playoff bracket predictions. We're each going to give who we think is going to first make the playoffs and who we could see in the World Series potential matchup. And if you are unaware, in the new playoff brackets, the way seeding works is seeds 1 and 2 get a bye in each league. 4 plays 5 and 3 plays 6. The winner of 4-5 plays 1. The winner of 3-6 plays 2, and then it's a normal tournament style bracket after that.
Glad you were listening to me before the episode. I'm glad.
So for some reason, Jett is balding at age 20, but let's go ahead and talk here about this now. In the National League, I have the Dodgers at the 1 seed, the Braves at the 2 seed, the Milwaukee Brewers at the 3 seed, and then as wild card teams in order, Phillies, Cardinals, Padres. Brendan, why don't you go ahead and give us your National League outlook with the Mets in first?
No, I actually don't. I'm not that biased. I got the best team in baseball on paper. The 1 seed, I got the Dodgers. 2 seed, I do have my New York Mets. At the 3 seed, I have the St. Louis Cardinals. And then for my wild card in order, it goes Braves, Brewers, and then Phillies. I did give you guys the nod. I got you guys in.
Putting some respect on
over the Padres.
On old Didi Gregorius.
Yeah, he's still got some years left in him. He's only a good player, but
all right, Jett, give us 1 through 6 in the NL.
Yeah, for me, I got the Dodgers at 1, the Braves at 2, the Brewers at 3, Phillies at 4, Padres at 5, and Giants at 6.
Really?
Yes.
You think the Giants' run last year was not magical? Then I'm assuming.
I think it was magical. They were definitely due for some regression, as I previously stated about 24 and a half minutes ago. But they will make the playoffs.
I'm not too sure what this aggression is coming out of Jett all of a sudden. I know he doesn't like to stay up past 9:30. At the time of this recording, as I'm saying this word, it's 9:34 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I'm not too sure why Jett's cranky. In the AL, 1 through 6, in order, I have the Tampa Bay Rays, Chicago White Sox, and Houston Astros winning their divisions. And wild card is all coming out of the East this season. In the AL, I have Blue Jays, Yankees, Red Sox in that order. Brendan, go ahead.
So I got the Blue Jays at the 1 seed, and then I got the White Sox at the 2 seed, Astros in the 3 seed. Wild card, I'm sticking with almost all AL East, but I'm going Rays, Yankees, and sneaking into that 3rd spot, I got the Mariners. I think the Mariners this year, I think they'll be good. They got a young squad, so I think they'll sneak in this year.
So repeat real quick who you have missing from the East?
The Red Sox.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's either Red Sox or Yankees they're the 3-4 seeds for sure. At least in my opinion. Jett, who do you have 1 through 6 in the
Yeah, for me, number 1, I have the Astros. Number 2, I have the Blue Jays. Number 3, I have the White Sox. 4, I have the Rays. 5, Yankees. And sneaking in at the number 6 spot, I have the Mariners.
Okay. I like the sneak in analogy you guys are both using. They're really just sneaking on in there. They're not expected, Just think of it as a childhood cartoon. They're sneaking in that door. They're tiptoeing right now. It's a very mischievous walk that they got going on. They're both sneaking in there. I like it a lot. So if we were to go through it, for me, I'm going to go through my whole entire National League side of the bracket. I have Brewers defeating the Padres. I have the Phillies defeating the Cardinals. And so that means I would have the Brewers then facing the Braves and the Phillies facing the Dodgers. I have the Dodgers winning that series. I have the Brewers coming out on top of the Braves this season. In the American League, I have to make it a long story short, I have a Blue Jays White Sox American League championship and a Brewers Dodgers National League championship. Guys, very interesting. I have a Brewers Blue Jays World Series this season.
Interesting. Wow.
I think it'd be fun to watch. It's basically just great hitting versus great pitching. Let's see who does better. And I think it'd be very interesting to watch that series.
Absolutely.
Go ahead, Brendan. What do you got?
All right. So with the 4 and 5 for the NL, I would have right. It'd be the 4 versus 5.
Yes.
Yes.
So I'd have Braves versus Brewers. I think the Brewers with their rotation, I think they would win that. And then the 3 and 6 would be the Cardinals versus the Phillies. I think the Cardinals are just a little bit better. So I think they would sneak past the Phillies, and then that would set up for the Brewers to face the Mets. No, the Brewers to face right, it would be the Brewers to face the 1 seed and the Dodgers. I have the Dodgers winning that, and then it'd be the Mets versus the Cardinals. I think the Mets would win that. I think we just have the better rotation if we're healthy. This was all if we have our rotation going into the postseason. And then I have the Dodgers defeating the Mets in the NL Championship.
I never thought I'd hear it. I thought they were going 193-0.
I say that about the Cowboys every year, and we choke in first round. So maybe if I doubt my team a little, we do something out of that.
It doesn't sound like you're doubting them. I think that you're really just willpowering them to the World Series here.
We'll see. I think it's gonna be a fun year, but it's gonna be close.
All right, let's hear the American League.
So in my American League, I got
just give us the World Series prediction here.
Coming out, I'll take the Blue Jays. I think the Blue Jays this year they got a really good team. I think the pitching, see how they fare, but I think they're gonna be a tough team to beat.
Okay, and the only reason I am rooting for the Blue Jays is because I do watch a YouTuber on MLB The Show YouTuber named Kevin God, very funny Canadian man. So I root for his team. It's what I do. I'm a very funny American man. He's a very funny Canadian man. Jett's a very funny Israelite man. So Jett, let's hear your predictions here.
Yeah, very interesting tidbit to throw in. Not really sure how it relates to what we're talking about. For the NL, I have in the championship series, I have the Dodgers and the Braves, the number 1 and number 2 seed. And then in the AL, I have the number 1 seed Astros versus the number 2 Blue Jays. And coming out of both leagues, I have the Dodgers and I have the Blue Jays, and I have the Dodgers winning the World Series.
Wow. So we all have the Blue Jays going. I'm the only one that has the Dodgers at all this season. Interesting. I think I'm the only one that hates the Dodgers here in this webinar. But for probably the most interesting part of the show, in my opinion, we are having an awards ceremony. I'm going to go ahead and put on my bow tie as I'm just announcing this for us all.
Wait, it's a little crooked. Can you straighten it out a little bit? There you go.
How's that looking for you people at home?
Looks good.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I can't have my National League MVP Bryce Harper here with me because, he is heading into the season. Possible COVID-22 could be coming back. But for National League MVP, Bryce Harper is going to repeat. He's going to be a 3-time MVP winner, and he is punching his ticket to Louisville, baby. Or not Louisville. What am I talking about?
Cooperstown.
He's punching his ticket to Cooperstown. Bryce Harper, you're going to see him in the hall. You are going to see him in the hall. I can't reiterate this enough.
You're right. You're going to see him in the Hall of Fame at the Louisville Slugger Bat Museum. That's where you're going to see his Hall of Fame plaque. He's not going to Cooperstown anytime soon, that's for sure.
Listen, Jett, you could go ahead and say whatever you want, but, the Marlins' best hitter is Miguel Rojas. We're then going to go ahead and give my American League MVP, and in spite, it is not going to Shohei Ohtani because I dislike the reason that he won last season. I think it was a very stupid reason to give someone the MVP. Yes, he was the most valuable to his team, but if that's the case, then Jonathan Taylor should have won in the NFL. But the American League MVP this season is going to be Vladimir Guerrero Jr. He is going to be given what he should have earned last year, and I'm very upset that he didn't get it last year because he deserved it. Let's hear your MVPs, guys.
Jett, you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go. On the NL, I have a it's a guy that you may not be hearing a lot about right now. Not Bryce Harper. He's not going to win. It is going to be Austin Riley of the Atlanta Braves. He's coming off of an extremely great, well put together season. And I expect it to continue once again. Freddie Freeman out of that lineup. They're looking, obviously, with Ronald Acuna going to be starting the season on the IL. I think Austin Riley is going to slowly become one of the better players in the MLB and is going to put it on full display with an MVP season to put a bow on it. And then in the American League, I'm going right along with what Tommy has. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. definitely deserved the MVP. He definitely deserved more consideration for it. Obviously, you can't discount what Shohei Ohtani did, but I do think that Vlad Jr. gets the job done this year.
Okay, Brendan, let's hear it.
If we're taking Austin Riley as a serious pick, I might as well throw in Luis Guillorme's bid for MVP. But my MVP, I'm gonna go with. That was a tough one this year. I think it's gonna go to Soto. I think.
Chalk.
I think he's gonna be really good this year. Probably the only guy on that team's gonna do anything. Maybe they got 45-year-old Nelson Cruz to help out a little bit, but that's all really help. But I think Soto's gonna have a really good year. AL, I was gonna say Vlad, but since both of you said, I'm gonna take a dark horse. I'm gonna go with Wander Franco. I think he might have an outstanding year. I think he's gonna be one of the best players in baseball this year. We'll see how he does. Still young, so he's got a lot to learn, but I could see high things from him this year.
Okay, that's very tough to ask from someone so young.
It is.
Does anyone know off the top of their head when last time we saw something like that? Or no, I'll just move on. Okay. I'm not even too sure what you're saying there, Brendan. I think that these night fumes are getting to you over in St. Petersburg area.
But Tampa, but
I said area. Either way, Cy Young Award winners this season, from my perspective, in the National League, there's a lot of big names floating around. You hear your Zach Wheelers, you hear your Corbin Burnses, you hear your DeGroms and Scherzers.
Show the love, come on.
It's not going to be any of these guys. It's just not. It's going to be someone who should really be comeback player of the year as well because of how bad his season was last year. An amazing bounce back year now. I can see that Brendan knows where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
Aaron Nola of the Philadelphia Phillies.
Jeez.
He will be your Cy Young Award winner this season. Guys, what do you think of that, first of all? One word to sum it up.
Too biased. That's the word.
Yeah, biased. I agree. Yeah.
American League. In the American League, I do have this one serious, a bit of an unorthodox pick. Justin Verlander is going to come back and be the same player he was when he left. And I'm excited to see it because, obviously he's the less talented brother. I know Ben is, he's won 42 Cy Young Award winners. But let's hear your guys' Cy Young Awards.
Yeah, for me, in the NL, I have Logan Webb of the San Francisco Giants. A really strong season last year. He's pretty much at the top of this Giants rotation. I expect him to have another strong season. And as much as I would like to go with anyone on the Marlins, I'm not going to stoop down to Tommy's level. I want to, provide our audience with as much of a realistic scenario as possible. And just, unfortunately, Tommy's not doing that on this episode, but that is just okay. And then in the American League, I have Lucas Giolito of the Chicago White Sox, a guy that has shown he can get the job done before, but he has not been able to put a full 162 game season together. Lance Lynn won it from his team last year. I think another White Sox player wins it this year, and that's Lucas Giolito.
So for me, I can't believe you guys can't mention this guy's name. Tommy did a little, but if he stays healthy, DeGrom's the best pitcher on the face of the earth. No one tops him. He'll finish the year with a sub-2 ERA, like always, just because he's elite. If he stays healthy, so I think he's my clear-cut Cy Young if he's healthy. If not, we'll stay with the Mets. Go Max Scherzer. He's gonna stay healthy. He had that little tweak in his hamstring. I think he'll be fine. Not too worried about that. That guy just goes through everything. For the AL, Robbie Ray won last year. I think there's gonna be a lot of guys in this race this year. Um, Giolito is an option. I like Barrios. I've always liked him since his days um, in Minnesota.
Yep.
Yeah, so I think he's gonna have a good year. Their pitching coach somehow finds a way to revamp pitchers, make them even better than what they are, and we saw that these past few years, especially with Robbie Ray this past. So I think Barrios has a chance to win it this year. It wouldn't surprise me, but yeah, those are my guys.
A little funny that you mentioned DeGrom here. If he plays a full season, when he's already capped out at about 20 starts. So we're already hoping for a full season when it's not happening already.
If he comes back, stays healthy the rest of the year, and makes those 20, 25 plus starts, he's getting it. I think
there is no 25 plus here, Brendan. I don't think you understand.
Here's the thing: if that happens, Jacob DeGrom's headed to Louisville. That's all I know.
He should be already, but that's my opinion.
I don't understand this hate I'm getting this episode. I really don't. Let's go ahead and move on to Silver Slugger. Just one from each league. We can each pick one position and one player to win that position. I'm going to go with outfield for the NL. It's Nick Castellanos quite easily. And for the AL, I'm going to go with a first baseman, and it's not going to be Vlad because he's winning MVP. Bobby Dahlbeck is going to have an absurd season this year. Book it. Write it down in your calendar, in your notes app. I don't care where you put it. Come back to this episode. Bobby Dahlbeck is hitting 320 plus this season.
Okay. I don't know how to follow that up, but I'll go with my Silver Slugger in the American League. I'm going to go with third baseman Alex Bregman. Bounce back season is due after some injuries, and I like him to take home this prestigious award that Tommy is overhyping just a little bit. And then in the National League, lot of directions I can go, but for the catching position, I'm going to go with Will Smith of the Los Angeles Dodgers, a very solid offensive hitting catcher. And with the lack of quality catchers we're seeing in the game today, I think him and a few others really stand out, but I like Will Smith to take home that accolade.
All right, Brendan, two random positions, two random players. What do you got?
National League, we're going to go shortstop.
Oh, God.
Going to stick with it. He's going to have a bounce back year. I think he's going to bat over 280 with 30-plus bombs. Right in the middle of that order, Francisco Lindor, he's going to have an outstanding year. I think he lives up to the hype and the money that he's getting paid right now. I think he's going to have a great year. And for the AL, I'll go outfield. I'll go Luis Robert, however they want to pronounce his name. I still don't know. But I think he's going to have an outstanding year on that White Sox team. That team's going to be very tough to beat. So I think he's going to be a big piece for that team this year.
How many home runs did you say you're predicting for Lindor?
30 plus. He had 20 plus last year and had like 5 at the All-Star break. So,
okay, so can we count on over or under 30 plus? Thumbs down to the fans paying money and lining his pockets.
I wasn't against it. They started winning.
Wow.
It wasn't a dig like we hate you to the fans. It was more of like, boo us, keep doing it. We like it. It's going to encourage us to do even better, and that's what they did. But then DeGrom got hurt, and we just fell to shambles. But
yeah, I mean, you had a Mets season. I don't really understand why we're making it. Yeah. We're sugarcoating it. Jett, is there anything else you'd like to get to on this fine episode? I know you have some bold predictions.
Yeah, actually, I just wanted to mention my Rookie of the Year.
Okay, players.
Yeah. For me, in the National League, I'm going to go with Joey Bart, Buster Posey's replacement. A big shoes to fill, no doubt about it. But this is a guy that's been a highly touted prospect ever since he joined the Giants organization, and I expect him to take advantage of all that playing time he's going to be getting and come away with Rookie of the Year in the NL. And then in the American League, I have Spencer Torkelson of the Detroit Tigers. The heir to Miguel Cabrera at first base. That torch has been passed. Another highly touted prospect who's going to be getting a ton of playing time. And I, just like Bart, I expect Torkelson to take full advantage and come away with the Rookie of the Year.
Both very good picks. I know in spring training alone, the Phillies have played the Tigers like 9 times, and Torkelson has been on the scorecard every single one of them. So I could absolutely see Torkelson doing something like that. Jett, let's hear these bold predictions. What do you have for us?
Yeah, so my first one has to do with the Los Angeles Angels. I have a really good feeling that they are going to make a splash at the trade deadline, and they're going to acquire a marquee starting pitcher. That marquee starting pitcher is going to be Luis Castillo of the Cincinnati Reds. They're in a rebuild, and I think they're going to part ways with some more guys as the season goes on. With that being said, with that move, that is going to propel this Angels team to winning the division. Thoughts?
Wow. My initial thought is just wow. You really have the Angels beating the Astros.
First of all, it's a bold prediction.
Yeah.
No, I know. I know. I'm just saying you can really see that.
All the Angels need is pitching. They have the lineup to compete. They have another guy who I'm going to talk about in a little bit.
They need training staff too.
Yeah, they do. You're not wrong at all. But I think if the Angels make a few more moves on the pitching side of things, I really think they have what it takes to get the job done.
All right.
All right. Next. Next, my next bold prediction.
Well, let me give one.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
So no more Aaron Nola talk because it's not really bold. A bold prediction that I have here is
this Suarez?
No. This is not Phillies related.
Okay.
Chris Bassett is not the pitcher that they think that they got. I mean, like the Mets fans, when they got Chris Bassett, they really acted like this guy he's had a Clayton Kershaw type career. He just hasn't. I think that for me to even call this a bold prediction is weird because it shouldn't be. But I think that Chris Bassett is going to have an ERA somewhere in the 3.3s to 3.7 range. And I think it's almost like you can take it to the bank because that's what's going to happen. This guy is not posting a sub-3 earned run average.
3.3 I'll take if he's our 3 all year. So,
but he's your 1 with injuries.
Sure. Well, Tyler McGill is scheduled to open.
Oh God! Oh God!
No, he's good. I like
Mets are 0-1, baby.
They play the Nationals. They play the Nationals.
Yeah.
Juan Soto's going 9 for 9.
9 for 9. Oh, jeez.
Brendan, do you have any bold predictions for us?
I'll give you one right here because I'm drafting. I see his name. Saya Suzuki, the Chicago Cubs guy. Is he able to win Rookie of the Year?
He's considered a rookie, yes.
All right. I think he'll win NL Rookie of the Year. There's a lot of good guys this year in the NL and in the AL. I think it's going to be a great year for prospects and young guys to make big splashes. So I could see him, in Chicago, quiet, the big city of Cubs City. So I think he'll have a good year with them. I think I could see that happening.
Okay. I mean, I didn't talk about rookies at all. All kidding aside, the Nola thing was a joke. Castellanos, I threw in the show just to troll. But
yeah.
Rookie of the Year, I think that Bryson Stott does have a very, very solid chance at this because he is playing out of his mind in spring. And Didi Gregorius is the only thing in his way. And I think that he has a very solid chance to first make the roster and then find himself in a starting role by maybe early June at the latest.
All right, I have a few more, if you don't mind me, guys. I know you guys have so many places to be right now at now 9:57 p.m. Eastern time. So my next bold prediction is that the New York Yankees are going to miss out on the playoffs for the first time in 5 seasons. Thoughts?
I would love that. Oh, and if the Mets
I wouldn't
make the
mind
playoffs,
it either.
oof, New York City's gonna be going crazy.
All right, here's another one. We talked about Jared Kelenic. Another guy I want to talk about, Joe Adell. So Jared Kelenic and Joe Adell Angels prospect who has not had, both of these guys have not had crazy good starts to their career. However, I think this year is going to be different. They're both going to have outstanding seasons. Just to give everyone a little bit of background, Kelenic, to start his career, is hitting 181 with 14 home runs and 43 RBIs. Joe Adell, 246, 4 home runs and 26 RBIs. Mark it down right now. Both of these guys are going to be finishing in the top 10 of MVP voting this year.
Wow, top 10?
Top 10.
I didn't know Kalenic's average was that low.
Yeah,
I know he
That was bad.
he struggled to start to come up, but that last month he was on fire.
I just remember Brennan celebrating like he won the trade after he broke into the league last season. He's like, it sucks and Cano is injured, but at least Kelenic stinks. But
Yeah.
Brendan, Jett doesn't seem to think so.
I don't. I actually
I-
have him on one of my fantasy baseball teams. I'm really excited about his prospect. He just needs to get the average up. I mean,
Yeah.
his K percentage is extremely high. Understandable for a rookie. I think he'll adjust as time goes on, and I'm really excited about both of these guys who were once heavily touted prospects. I think they're going to make a splash in year 2.
I could see it, honestly. Top 10, though, is a stretch. But like it is bold predictions.
Bold.
Jett,
I go
what do you have
bold
next?
I go bold or go home. That's what I say every morning when I wake up. It's time to
Really?
go bold or go home. So I'm
Well,
gonna
you don't say it in the mirror because you are Amish, correct?
How'd you know?
I can just tell by the beard.
And the receding hairline.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, my last one. So just to give everyone a little bit of background about the starting rotations of teams in the NL East. In 2021, the Mets starting rotation ranked 8th in the MLB, Marlins 13th, Braves 7th, Phillies 16th, and Nationals 20th. My bold prediction for this year is that 4 of the top rotations in the MLB in terms of ERA, 4 of the top 7 rotations in the MLB in terms of ERA are going to be coming from the NL East.
Wow. So Braves, Marlins, Phillies. You really have the Nationals that high.
I do. I'm excited about Josiah Gray, Steven Strasburg coming off of injury.
Anibal Sanchez.
Sanchez, who got absolutely rocked by the Cardinals in that spring training game.
I mean, the Cardinals are legit. What do you expect?
True.
Anibal's posting a sub 2.2 this season.
Wouldn't be surprised.
Same.
Can't believe the hate I'm seeing. This is incredible. Incredible, man.
Does Bobby Bonilla get paid this month?
No, June 1st.
Oh, okay.
Bobby Bonilla.
Well,
I call him Bonilla.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Jett.
no, I was gonna say I don't know the exact structure of Francisco Lindor's contract, but we could be in 10 years be having a Francisco Lindor day every year.
I think so. Might as well make him back-to-back days, right?
Why not? You might as well, yeah. All right. Anything else we want to touch on before we get this great 2022 MLB season underway?
I think that's all we have time for. I think that this panel needs to be put to bed for at least a few weeks. This was a very, very long episode.
It was good though.
Hey,
was
we're
good.
almost sitting at 9:58 now. What are you saying?
Well, I mean, Jett, you're on the East Coast. I'm in Hawaii. It's 4:30 in the morning right now for me.
Oh,
My eyes are basically burned out of my skull.
gotcha. Brendan, how's it going in St. Petersburg?
Yeah, I'm actually directly in the city of Tampa. But yeah, St. Petersburg works as well. No, it's beautiful here.
All right, Brendan.
Unfortunately, if we are running out of time, we do have time for this always.
No.
Salient. Your word of the day for April 4th, 2022 is salient. Let me go ahead and give you guys the correct pronunciation for this.
Salient.
Salient. Salient. This is my first time looking at the definition, so whatever I come up with is on the spot. So whatever I say, I truly, truly mean. Salient means standing out conspicuously, being prominent, or of notable significance. The Miami Heat are not salient. They are not a salient team in this East. I mean, there's no chance that they are salient. Root word resilient, possibly. This could be where it's coming from. this Heat team is not resilient. I mean, you see it time and time again with Markieff Morris heading to the Oscars next year. Let's go ahead and bring that full circle, Jett. I know you weren't expecting her today. Let's go ahead and talk Butler. He's not salient. I mean, he's not on the court. The team needs him right now, and he's just not playing. I mean, he can call it an injury all he wants, but this guy's, I mean, he's not even old, and he's playing like he's 96. Talking about 96, you want to talk about a real leader, Michael Jordan back in 96. That guy was a great player. The Chicago Bulls were a great team. Jimmy Story, salient. Jacob deGrom is very salient if you're talking about the injured list. He is going to be on that injured list. He's standing out on that IL. You can call it a 10-day all you want. Ladies and gentlemen, we know it's not a 10-day. Come on now. Let's get our facts together. Let's get our heads on straight. Brendan, take your thinking cap and screw it on. Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. Jacob deGrom to the injured list. Very salient. Thoughts?
Greatest
Yeah, go
pitcher in
ahead,
all of
Brendan.
baseball.
Yeah.
Greatest pitcher in all of baseball. I'll leave it at that. That's
Yeah, Cy Young died a few years ago, actually.
Yeah, also, Tom is just not on brand with what we had planned for this episode, bringing in NBA when obviously the Heat are always on his mind, which
Yeah.
rightfully so. First in the East, 4-game winning streak, 6-4 in the last 10. All the antics put to bed on the way to the finals. Suns Heat in 6. It's going to be an exciting rest of the way for sure.
Yeah, I'm Tommy. This is Jett, and that was Brendan, and that was the 25 cast. Thanks everybody so much for listening.